Hi, I'm John from Prairie Farm, and today we're going to make some giant mushrooms.
So right here, I'm using great stuff to make the shape of the mushrooms. You can see that I'm going in a circular pattern at the beginning. Underneath it is a layer of thin plastic stuff that you can get from Menards. And on top, underneath that is a layer of chicken wire. I just used my hands to shape the chicken wire. The mushrooms are about 4 feet by 4 feet. I don't know if you can see the scale in the video though at all. After I got to the edges, I started going in a back and forth motion. I just felt like it filled in better. You can see that I'm back filling in the video there too, and then just trying to fill in different gaps and stuff like that. Basically, once you get in one side, you work your way around the whole thing. I like to get as close to the edge of the plastic as I can, just so that the mushroom is as big as shape as you can make it. I also left a little bit of extra chicken wire on the outside because later on I do use that to reinforce it when we make a second layer of insulation there. So after this is done, we will flip it over and incorporate the chicken wire into the actual structure of the mushroom. First one is actually what the bottom will look like when we're done. It's got a bunch of weird texture there. It's what the spray foam grows to. And then on the second picture, you can actually see what the shape of the top of the mushroom will be basically when we're done. We actually called this one the cowboy hat. So here you can see that we've got another one of those turtle shell mushrooms. This one dried overnight. Some of it was still a little wet. If you spray water on it before you put the plastic there, it'll actually make it to where it doesn't stick to it when you take it all off. You can also see there's some thin spots in there where you can see all the way through it. That's okay. We're actually going to do a second layer on that, where we put the chicken wire and a second layer of spray foam in there, and that'll make it really solid. The chicken wire will also reinforce it. It looks really cool on the light right here, which is why I was kind of showing through there. Here's another one of those cowboy hats. This one I did spray, so you can see that it actually stuck a little less to the plastic, and also it's got a different texture on there. That's the same chicken wire that we used for the shaping, so we actually are just going to flip over the mushroom and stick it on there. And then this whole video is actually going to show how we use toothpicks to hold it a little tighter. On the first one I didn't use the toothpicks, and it ended up taking a ton more spray foam. If you don't mind wasting the spray foam, it's really no big deal. But I wanted to keep these a little thinner so they looked just a little better. Right there I'm using some shears, and we're just going to snip the wire to fit just a little smaller than the edge of the mushroom all the way around. Any kind of snips for metal will work, but I like these ones just because the razor edge on it cuts through that chicken wire real easy. When you cut about 1,000 of those little wires, eventually carpal tunnel kind of feels like it's kicking in. So we're going to work our way all the way around, and it just takes a little time here. You can see we got a big chunk off right there. That's kind of nice. So here's where we do the toothpicks. And like I said, this is just to hold the chicken wire down. I tend to use the ridges of the spray foam that stuck up a little bit and try to get between two of them. I don't know how well the video shows it, but basically I'll push the chicken wire down, and there you go, it's right there. And that'll hold it tight up against it. That way we don't have a lot of gaps and need twice as much spray foam like I said earlier. And you'll just work your way. I like to start on the edge and work my way across from one side to the other. And basically anywhere that seems like that chicken wire is sticking up, just push it back down. I did try using some fresh chicken wire versus the one I used to shape it on one of them, and I did find that it's a lot easier if you use the one to shape it because it's already contoured to it, and there's a lot less toothpicking that needs to be done for that. As you can see, we're just finishing up. Be sure to like and let us know if you have any suggestions. Alright, so right there you can see I'm using a rasp. We're just going to use that to shape the mushroom. I'm starting here on the bottom. I like to do that just so that if I scrape anything up when I flip it over, it's a little easier to fix. I like to start on one side and just work my way around the whole circle. As you can see here, I'm just kind of smoothing out those ridges, making sure that they're a little easier when we get to the mudding stage. You'll actually, when we get to the mudding stage, just start spraying the stuff across there with your hands, and it's just a lot simpler. It takes a lot less mud to do that. Alright, so you can see here we've got one of our turtle shell mushrooms. We're going to use our +3 drywall mud, and then we're going to mix that with barn and fence paint, and we're going to do that at 4 parts mud to 1 part paint. And once we make our monster mud, you just start spreading it on. You can see I do like to wear latex gloves while I'm doing that. The whole idea is just to try to get it kind of smooth. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to sand that at the end. +3.
Yep.
And
empty bucket. So here's the monster mud. You can see that it should kind of dangle like frosting. I mostly just try to work that into the gaps and all the way around and just get it all full. So here you can see the turtle shell. This is after we finished mudding it, and we've also gone ahead and sanded it. If you zoom in here a little bit, you can actually see we do get some cracks. That is just from the mud drying. And then what we'll do is we'll actually go back and backfill those cracks before we go ahead and paint it. When we do go ahead and get ready to paint it, what we use is either dry lock or a generic version of that. You can see right here we're using this dry guard waterproofing paint. It's made for masonry and concrete. It works really good for this. And we'll do 2 layers of that, and then we will go ahead and paint it with our red. And here you can see I'm spinning it around so you can see that we got all those edges done. The next step will be to go ahead and start on our hard coats. We're going to start working on our first hard coat, which is going to have a mix of this Varathane, and then it's also going to have this ice epoxy. I got both of these at Menards, but you can get them at pretty much any Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, any place like that. So whenever you do this, make sure that you do not shake this. You actually just want to stir it. I always use a stir stick. And that you just kind of do this, and that's to avoid getting any bubbles in it, which makes it go on a lot smoother when you're doing that. And then I did get this handy little lid cover here. You can see that they sell those in the paint section of all those places I talked about. And that makes it to where it's a lot easier to pour into a smaller bucket so you don't spill. So, there we go. And right here, I am doing 12 ounces of this. And for 12 ounces, you use approximately half a teaspoon of this ice epoxy stuff. And I've just got a little measuring spoons here that I use for this. And since I've already used the quarter, what I will do is just do 2 of those, and that equals a half. All right, then what we'll do is use our handy dandy mixer. And you can get these in the paint section of, I got mine in the Menards, so any of those sections too. I do like to hold the thing so you don't do that. And then I also don't stir really fast, you just kind of keep it slow and steady. All right, and then you can see that's kind of what it looks like when you're all ready. And you can go ahead and paint. All right, so I've just got a 2-inch brush here. I tried to get it some pretty fine hair. I've been using this on a couple other mushrooms already, but I wanted to test run it before we did it. When I was first researching, I did find that only using a 1/4 teaspoon of that red epoxy is too little. I also tried a blue one, which did not look very good. It made the whole mushroom look dirty, so I actually took this mushroom, lightly sanded it, and repainted it. And so now we're just going over it again with the red, and it looks a lot better. So you can kind of see, you're just trying to get that on there. I don't know how well you can see the glitter on there, but in my eyes, I can see it very well. And so yeah, so I start at the top, work my way down, and I just work in a circle all the way around the mushroom. So you can kind of see just all the way down, try to get up underneath that lip, try to fill any gaps. And then there's bubbles that kind of start, so I just lightly brush again to try to get that off. I've also found that this stuff dries really fast, so you really don't want to overwork it. Otherwise what happens is it starts to peel off, kind of like if you have paint that's already half dried. You want to make sure that you avoid that too. All right, so here we are with this. It's already got the hard coat on it. What we're about to do is start making our polka dots, kind of like Mario mushrooms. I'm going to use this exterior barn paint. We've used it for a couple other things already, but that's what I'm going to be using for this. And then I also will use the sponge I showed. Should look kind of like this, if you can see it in that light. There you go. And so yeah, so you do that, and you just kind of put it on there, straight down, and just kind of rock it so that you make a circle. That's about it. It's not perfect, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be. It's a mushroom. So, do another dot. You want to randomize these. So you want Another one probably over here. You can see I'm kind of rocking that around to make the shape. And what we'll do is, if you can see that, we'll come back with a paintbrush and make that circle shape the rest of the way. This is just so that we get a basic line that I can work off of because I'm not a very good painter. I also like to do some partial ones on the bottom here, and since I dripped a little paint right there, that's the perfect spot for it. And I do that, and then I kind of rock it underneath the bottom too, so we can kind of see where our line should be. And I will let this mostly dry before I press the circle lines on here. All right, so these are dry now. What we're gonna do is try to get the shape lined up a little bit better, and then we're gonna fill in the center so you don't see that red anymore. It will take a couple coats. I'm just gonna show the first coat on this, but I just basically try to make my line. And you see I use a very small brush for this part, and then I'll use a 1-inch brush to do the center part. These circles do not have to be perfect. They just have to be pretty good, because with the scale from how far away people are gonna see them, it really won't matter that much. And it's a mushroom, so it's allowed to be a little misshapen. It really doesn't matter for this, as long as you can kind of keep within the lines. So for filling in the circle, you want to use a 1-inch brush. I've used this one a few times so you can see it's a little ratty, but we're not doing the edges, so it's actually okay. You try to tip it a little bit to get those wet, and then you can see I'll wipe off one side, and then I just kind of stay inside my lines. And I try not to get any drips. You can kind of see that right there, that's a drip. We want to spread that out so that it's not a problem. And on this first layer, we're just doing a pretty good job. On the second coat, we'll actually make sure that we fill it in the rest of the way. Sometimes I have to do 3 coats on these, but usually just 2. All right, make sure to either put your brushes in a bag, they'll stay wet for days, or you can just make sure you wash them off and then reuse them again next time. So here you can see we've completed the white circles on this mushroom. I'm looking forward to the next steps, which will be putting the stem on, and then we will go ahead and get to put glue and dark paint on the tube.